What is up, everybody? It's your boy DFS up north here with another DFS Army PGA podcast. We are back, taking a little break to start the 2024 season, but we are back and ready to break down the Valspar Championship 555 podcast. Here we go. Again, what is up, everybody? I have missed you. We are back. I take a little break on the PGA until about the end of March here on making the videos. Obviously, we still have all your content here at DFS Army, but now we are ready to pump out these free videos every single week for DFS Army subscribers. Or if you're new to DFS Army, maybe you're just catching us on YouTube, you saw this on Twitter, welcome. Again, we have all of the tools that you need to be successful in DFS at DFS Army, whether it's PGA, NBA. We're even doing March Madness right now, baby. I got the Marquette. I don't even know what they are. I got Marquette going just because they're low owned. That's my GPP brain thinking here, trying to take down my March Madness bracket. But we're going to have a little bit of madness of our own here this week at the Valspar Championship. Let's get into it. We got like a whole new format this year, people. Let's start talking about it. Where am I at here? I need to go on the upstairs here. Maybe we take off. Yeah, that'll work. So we're at the Valspar Championship, and this year for the DFS Army PGA pod, we are going to do a 5-5-5 format. So I'm going to give you 5 key stats or 5 key things that you need to know each week as we get into it. I'm going to take off this banner. You guys know, code up north, 10% off. Let's go. And then I can hide in the little corner here and you guys can see everything. But 5 key stats, things you need to know. We're going to talk about whether that's one of them this week. And then I'm going to give you my 5 favorite plays. So variety of salary ranges, but guys that I am really high on this week, whether it's GPP cash, single entry, guys that I think are really going to have a great week based on, course history, current form, course fits, things like that. And then 5 punts to help you take down a GPP. All right. So 5 guys that are going to be low owned that we are looking at to help you take down a GPP. So like I said, that 5-5-5 model, 5 key stats, 5 favorite plays, 5 low owned GPP punts. And, here's the deal. Everybody has a podcast that they spend 2 hours on, that they break down the entire field, and then they talk about every single guy, and it just drones the course, and it drones on and on and on. It's almost like information overload, right? So I know that when I am creating content or I'm consuming content, what I want to do is that I want to get straight to the point. That is what we do here. My goal is like 15 minutes every week to get you in and out and hopefully have a better idea of how to tackle the slate. So let's get into it here. Our 5 key stats. All right. First and foremost, as always, we're going to go strokes gained approach, right? We know that almost every single week, strokes gained approach is going to be one of the most important stats. And this is basically just telling us that, guys who are hitting their irons well. All right. So strokes gained approach for this week. We're talking guys, if we're looking at recent form, who's been crushing it lately. Let's see here. I am going to look on behind me or behind the screen here over the last 25 rounds. We can see that tops in the field is a guy who I really like this week. He's actually not making my list here, but a guy that I'm really high on because of the Colonial comps, and that is Tony Finau. Over his last 25 rounds is leading the field in strokes gained approach. That information, right? We go 10, 25, 50, long-term, whatever, consistency, how often they're doing it. All of these stats you guys can find in the DFS Army research station. Taco updates it every single week. I'll show you it here in a minute when we talk about a few of these other things. But everything. We have some proprietary stats, which we're going to talk about today. And it is something that I can't do my content. I can't play contests. I can't do anything without it. I am such a sucker for the strokes gain or for our research station. And I usually comes out on Tuesday. I am chomping at the bit, messaging Taco on Monday saying, hey, can we get that thing out a little bit faster? It takes some time, but it is well worth the wait. And again, if you want access to that, use that code up north. That gets you 10% off. One of those proprietary stats that I'm really high on this week is our field rank for courses that have a low greens and regulation percentage. So what percentage of the field do you beat at courses with a low green and regulation percentage? So Valspar, Copperhead course, Innisbrook, very, very low greens and regulation percentage. I think it was 54% last year, about 8% lower than average. So guys are not hitting a ton of greens here. So how often are guys who are playing courses like this smashing, right? First is, shouldn't be a shock to anybody, is going to be Xander Schauffele. All right. Schauffele, without a doubt, is top of the board. And then we can follow that up with guys like, and that's over 21 rounds. So he's beating 84% of the field over 21 rounds. Then we got guys like Jordan Spieth, Tony Finau. And while some smaller, stats are not just playing enough, but guys like Alex Bjork, Sam Stevens, Sung Jae Im, about 70%. So interesting sort of way that we're going about it here. But yeah, guys that do well on low green and regulation courses are really good plays here. Weather Wave. All right, I'm gonna come back to Weather Wave. I'm gonna move on. All right, double bogey or worse percentage. Okay, Ben Griffin, best rate here. So that's another proprietary stat that we have here at DFS Army. So it looks at who's making big numbers. All right, who's making the big number, the big 8, the snowman. We see that at Valspar all the time, right? This is the snake pit, 16, 17, 18, or 15, 16, 17, really is going to eat some guys up this week. Guys who are playing really, really good golf, especially coming down the stretch on Friday, potentially with the wind, are going to be in trouble here. All right. So who does a good job of eliminating those big mistakes? Ben Griffin, currently number 1. If you want to see the rest of the guys, again, you got to be a DFS Army subscriber. And then strokes gained around the green. So we talked about how the green and regulation percentage is really low here. And by really low, we mean like 56%. I hit like 25 in a round, right? So you want to have guys that are good around the greens. All right. It's a tricky stat though, because to be good around the greens or to gain a lot of strokes around the greens means that you are typically missing the greens a lot. All right. So you got to take around the green, scrambling, things like that with a little bit of a grain of salt, because if you're missing the greens fairly regularly and you're gaining a ton around the greens, well, that's not necessarily something that we want to target, right? But if I look and I say, okay, so-and-so has a high green regulation percentage, they're gaining tons of strokes approach, and they're also good around the greens, well, then that's the sort of target that I am looking for here. When we look at the Weather Wave, all right, I am going to bring up a new screen here so that you guys can see what the weather looks like this week, because it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. Well, here's actually, we can show you this first. This is our a research station that I was talking about. If you aren't a DFS Army subscriber, we got, course history, aggregated odds, recent form, made cut percentage, everything done by recent and long-term form. Your key strokes gain stats, weak field percentage, your field rank splits, all of that. So let's take a look at the wind. So right now, Tuesday, pretty windy overnight. Wednesday, going to be a nice day to practice. Thursday, going to be a pretty nice day as well. But as we get into Friday, how does that look? We're playing a course that's tough to begin with. The back nine is pretty exposed to the wind, and we're talking about 35, 37, 31 mile per hour gusts, which is a constant of 23, 24, 25. Going to be pretty tough out there. Add that into the rain, and we're looking at the 5 p.m. hour, 2.53 inches of rain. So, right now you're going, okay, well, maybe I should play guys that are out in the PM and the AM, right? They got a pretty good wave on Thursday afternoon. Friday morning won't be as bad. Here's my guess on what's going to happen, though, right? Is that this rain, storm, whatever that's coming through is going to push guys to Saturday morning, right? And there's no chance. Like, if this forecast holds up, there is absolutely zero chance that the guys that are trying to go out on Friday are going to finish. So most guys are going to be finishing their second round Saturday morning. And it's windy. It's not as bad. But here's the deal. On weeks like this, where we're looking at the potential for a complete washout, right? A complete washout. I wouldn't mess with it. It's overthinking it. It's not something that I am going to be like targeting, because here's what happens is when you start to look at something like this, you tend to say, okay, am I going to play player A or am I going to play player B? Right. And here, let me bring this in here. We'll get in tight here for this one. Am I going to play player A or am I going to play player B? Right. And we make negative expected value decisions because we look at them and say, okay, well, player A is a little bit better, but player B here is out in the afternoon and he's going to get the better draw. When we have, like, we don't control the weather. Like, the weatherman can't even predict today and tomorrow. Like, we're making poor decisions based on incomplete data, essentially, right? So it's not something that I'm really going to concern myself with. I'm not going to look at AM, PM, things like this. Some people do. Some people are really, really successful at it. Or they talk themselves into that they're really, really successful at it. But it's not something that I am going to necessarily look a ton at this week. All right, let's keep going here. We're going to get into my 5 favorite plays, and let's talk about a couple of them. So right off the bat, my guy, and I'm gonna pat myself on the back here. I spelled Christian Bezuidenhout correct the first time. I've been doing this now long enough that I can spell Christian Bezuidenhout correct without having to look it up. So maybe that's sad. I don't know, but I'm really high on Bez this week. He's been playing some great golf. 8,800 is too cheap. He's got an elite short game, good ball striker, just kind of checks all the boxes for me. So Bez is going to be a core play for me this week. Another guy who's getting a lot of steam within the industry is Doug Gim. I really like Doug Gim. I've for about 2 years now called him Justin Thomas light. All right. The courses that Justin Thomas has success at, Doug Gim is going to as well. They have similar skill sets. And actually, over the last month or two, I think that Gim's been arguably better than JT. So 8,400, 9,700. Love Gim this week. Dougie Gimchi can absolutely do it here. Third guy on my list is Aaron Rye. Just every single week seems to sort of be that steady Eddie as the price climbs up. I don't necessarily love it as much. Popped last week, terrible Sunday, fell back in the field, which maybe he'll keep his ownership a little bit lower this week. But I'm an Aaron Rye guy. If you're a DFS Army subscriber, you know that. So I am going to be real high on Rye this week, especially with the conditions. He's a guy who can play. I hate to. Again, incomplete data. I hate to look at guys, but like anecdotally in my head, a guy who can play in the wind, can play in these tougher conditions, really likes a tight course, likes where, he's going to make birdies on those par 5s, which is really where you got to make your hay here. And then on the par 4s, he's going to make par. So not a guy who's going to light it up and shoot 2,700, but a guy that can, I think, top 10 here this week. Matt McNeely, since returning from his injury, has just been hot fire. So good. Iron play is a little sketchy, but his short game is outstanding. Putts, chips in from everywhere. Love Matt McNeely. And then another guy who has good history here, elite ball striker, best style on tour, Sam Ryder, 7,300. And as you can see here with these guys, I am personally a fan of the balanced build this week. I think that, with DK now sliding their pricing scale or their salary scale down to 5,000, I think we see the ownership is starting to creep up on these higher priced guys. So like you're going to expect to see Sanders, Spieth, JT, guys like that, pretty high owned this week. So I am going to do the opposite and go more in the middle here with some of these guys. If you are looking to make some punts, or not even just punts, just low owned guys, I am a big fan of a couple here. Let me see here. If I can get to the next slide, we'll just be loving life here. Oh, where's my slide? Hold your horses here, people. Because I've got some good guys here. Let's see here. All right, hold on. Hold your horses, peoples. All right. Yeah, there we go. I see it on this screen. Why can't I see it on my main one? Yeah. So punts. Okay. I've got some guys that I think are going to be really good low owned plays this week for you that I am really high on. And we're hitting that 15-minute mark, which I get, but I just stick with me here because I think it's going to be worth it. All right. Let me present. Can I get to slide? I mean, literally like 5 slides here, people. There we go. All right, now we can do it. Now we can do it. All right, share my screen, and we're back at it. Window. All right, my 5 favorite punts. It starts with Alex Bjork, 6,400 on DraftKings, Fanduel 8,300. No way he gets over 5% owned this week. I'm a huge Bjork guy to begin with. This is a course that is a less than driver. All right, and because it's less than driver, it is a course that he can contend at. All right, good ball striker, just hits it 270 off the tee. Nothing wrong with that. That's what I do, buddy. And he is an elite putter. All right. And we know that at this course, you can get really hot with the putter. Guys have compared the greens here to Augusta. So lots of undulation, and we've seen guys who have had success at Augusta do well here. So I like good putters this week. Alex Bjork, one of those guys. ZB Zach Blair, really high on Zach Blair this week. His return here back to the tour, I'm super high on. Love watching him play. Great ball striker. All right, great ball striker. So high on him this week. He's just been playing some outstanding golf. So a guy that, again, I think can get it done here. And you know what is going to be maybe a little sneaky. Guys have been playing him. I get that, but like, he can go. Zach Blair can go. 10th here last year, 54th last week, 68th 2 weeks ago. Just a really strong odds value in this price range. The next guy we're going to talk about is Ricky Castillo. Ricky Castillo is making his debut on the PGA Tour. So all Ricky Castillo did after playing in Gainesville was make his debut on the Korn Ferry Tour and come out and absolutely crush and win his first event. So he's now making his debut out here and is going to I think be a really good course fit. He missed his first cut on the Korn Ferry in the 2024 season, but since then, all he's done is just really play pretty good golf. 4 straight top 20 finishes. Can't go wrong with that. And then, like, the kid can play. So coming out here in Florida, making his debut, pretty high on him. So 4 says Zach Blair. It's not supposed to say Zach Blair. It's supposed to say another guy who's kind of taken a break and now come back, but he was due to an injury. It's Bud Cauley. I love Bud Cauley's game. He just is overall really, really good. And in his return, let me see here. I can bring it up. What he's done since coming back was 21st a couple of weeks ago at the Cognizant. I can't even call it that anymore. It's the Honda. 65th in his debut at the Waste Management. Short, so he's not going to be in contention at a lot of these courses. But the guy can play, right? 292 off the tee. And irons have been really good. He's due some positive regression with his putter. I think Bud Cauley is a guy that's going to go way under-owned this week and can absolutely play. And then finally, a guy that I was on last week that really, really played well was Seamus Power. Outstanding at the Players. He struggled on Sunday, fell back, but Seamus is really starting to get his game back. I think this is a great course for him. And you want to know what? Because I messed up here, I got the air. The slide wasn't working. I'm going to give you guys one more punt this week, and that is Jimmy Stanger. I am super high on Stanger. Great overall game. Good ball striker. Can putt. Can hit it off the tee. Can find fairways. I think that obviously has been playing some good golf lately. People might start to get a little bit more on him, but a guy that is still under-owned given his skill set. So Jimmy Stanger, PGA Tour rookie, another guy that I'm super high on. And that's maybe one more point here before we wrap up is that don't sleep on some of these guys making their debuts. Now, some guys have really struggled, like Adrian de Dumont, Chaucer, ADDC has struggled, right? He's struggled, but it's especially if you're building multiple lineups, don't sleep on taking chances on some of these rookies or guys making their debut, like Ricky Castillo, who can play, or even guys who have Monday qualified, right? Like a Richie Werenski shot 64 on Monday. He's got the short game that can really heat up here. I'll get some Richie Werenski in my life this week, all right? Or a Parker Cootie, who's been, kind of second fiddle to his brother for a long time, and to now sort of be the better brother here. I'm a big fan of Parker Cootie this week too as a cheap option. So that is what I got. I hope that you guys like the new comment or like the new format. If you liked it, leave me a comment below. If you thought this was terrible, leave me a comment below, because guess what? A, helps me get better. B, helps the algorithm, gets me more views. So thank you for being you. DFS Army, you guys know where to find me at DFS Up North. Valspar this week. Let's get it. See those green screens. Peace out.